Tonight, we dive into a story that begins with rage, fractures into fear, and ends with a twist no one could have predicted. A story of a father who walked away, and the moment the world forced him to look back. This is He Left His Family in Anger, Then Saw His Son on the News. David Keller wasn't a bad man, but on that cold Thursday night, the world made him feel like one. He had worked a 14-hour shift fixing pipelines in freezing rain, only to come home to a house full of noise. His wife on the phone, the TV blaring cartoons, and his son, Ethan, running around with a toy drone that kept crashing into the furniture. David snapped. "What does it take to get one moment of peace in this house?" He shouted as the drone hit his boot for the third time. Ethan froze. His wife, Melissa, dropped her phone, and David, breathing hard, felt a heat in his chest he couldn't swallow down. He grabbed his keys. "I'm done," he muttered. "I'm going for a drive." Melissa called after him. Ethan tried to grab his jacket, but David pulled away, and the door slammed behind him. For 3 hours, he drove aimlessly. No destination, no music, just his own anger echoing back at him. He hated the person he'd been in that moment, hated that Ethan had seen him like that. But pride? Pride held the steering wheel tighter than his hands did. At 11:07 p.m., David finally parked outside a closed diner, staring at his reflection in the windshield. "What are you doing?" he whispered to himself. He pulled out his phone. 1 missed call, then 2, then 9, all from Melissa. David swallowed hard and was reaching to call her back when something else buzzed on his screen. A breaking news notification. 12-year-old boy missing after being last seen near Brookfield Park. David didn't think much of it until the photo popped up. A small boy, light brown hair, red hoodie. The same red hoodie David had bought for Ethan last Christmas. His heart stopped. He zoomed in. He didn't need to look twice. It was Ethan. David dropped the phone, breath frozen in his chest. He fumbled to grab the device again, hands shaking violently. Another headline updated. Search underway as witnesses. Report seeing the boy near the river. Edge. The river. The same river that swelled dangerously after the rainstorm last night. The same river David had warned Ethan never to go near. David's mind flashed back to the moment he left the house. Ethan's eyes filled with confusion and fear. "Oh God, no," David whispered, already turning the ignition. He sped through the empty streets, running every red light. Tires screeching as the town blurred past. Sirens flashed up ahead, blue and red lights, painting the wet pavement. Police, search dogs, TV crews. David parked crookedly and sprinted toward the scene. Officers tried to stop him, but Melissa's voice cut through the chaos. "David!" She ran to him, tears streaming down her face. "He went looking for you," she choked. "He heard you slam the door and he thought you weren't coming back." David felt something inside him shatter. A reporter nearby spoke into a camera. Search teams believe the child may have wandered toward the riverbank after attempting to follow his father. David's legs nearly gave out. He had caused this. Search crews combed the forest edge with flashlights. Dogs followed faint tracks in the mud. A small shoe was found near the river path. David's breath broke when he saw it. It was Ethan's. He pushed past officers, ignoring shouted warnings. "Sir, the ground is unstable." But nothing mattered anymore. Not the danger, not the rules, not even the police yelling after him. He needed to find his boy. He stepped onto the riverbank, mud sucking at his boots, water rushing violently just feet away. "Ethan!" he shouted over the roar of the current. "Buddy, it's Dad. I'm here." Silence. Then, a faint cry. "Dad!" David whipped around, scanning the darkness. There, clinging to a fallen tree over the water, was Ethan, soaked, shivering, terrified. "Don't move!" David shouted, but as he stepped forward, the muddy edge crumbled beneath him. He grabbed onto a root, heart hammering, struggling to pull himself up. The river roared louder, swallowing chunks of earth. Ethan cried out again. "Dad, I can't hold on!" David knew he had one chance. He crawled forward on his stomach, grabbing the branch where Ethan clung. "I've got you," he whispered. "I'm not leaving you. Not again." Ethan looked into his father's eyes filled not with anger, but desperate love. David pulled with everything he had. Mud gave way. The branch snapped. Cold water surged. But David didn't let go. With a roar fueled by fear and guilt and love, he yanked Ethan onto solid ground just as rescuers reached them. They collapsed together, shaking, crying, clinging. David whispered over and over, "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." And Ethan, sobbing into his father's jacket, whispered back, "I thought you didn't want me anymore." David felt his heart break again. "No," he said, trembling. "I left in anger, but I never left you." The paramedics checked Ethan. Reporters filmed from behind the tape. Police questioned witnesses. But in the center of the chaos, David stayed kneeling, holding his son with both arms like he'd never let go again. He had walked away from his family out of pride. Tonight, he had nearly lost everything because of it. But the world wasn't done delivering its twist. As David wrapped a blanket around Ethan, a detective approached him slowly. "Mr. Keller," he said, voice grave, "there's something you need to know." David looked up, fear rising again. The detective handed him a tablet, a security camera still image, a man in a dark jacket, standing behind Ethan near the park entrance, watching him, following him. "Your son didn't wander off alone," the detective said. "We believe he was being targeted." David felt the air leave his chest. The detective continued, "And the man in this photo was seen fleeing into the woods minutes before we arrived." The camera image zoomed closer. Grainy, shadowed, but unmistakably real. David stared at the screen, and the final twist hit him. He recognized the man. The moment David recognized the man in the security photo, something inside him went cold. The detective watched his reaction carefully. "You know him," he said, not as a question, but a fact. David's jaw tensed. "Yes, I know him." But he didn't say how. Not yet, because the truth was heavier than anyone there could have imagined. The man in the photo was David's older brother, Mark Keller, a man David hadn't spoken to in nearly 7 years, a man who had once been his greatest friend, and later, his greatest regret. And now he had been seen following Ethan. The detective lowered his voice. "Mr. Keller, we need you to tell us everything you know about him." David's throat tightened, but the moment he looked down at Ethan, wrapped in a blanket, leaning against Melissa, still shivering, he realized there was no more room for secrets. He nodded. "Okay, I'll tell you everything." 7 years earlier, Mark had been arrested for a string of crimes: fraud, break-ins, debts tied to dangerous people. He refused help, refused responsibility, and when he hit rock bottom, he blamed David for turning his back. But David had a family to protect, a newborn son, a wife who trusted him, so he cut ties, and Mark never forgave him. The detective listened, face unreadable. "So, you're telling me your brother had a motive?" "Motive?" David whispered. "He had a vendetta." Before the detective could respond, another officer rushed over. "Sir, we found fresh tracks heading into the woods. Heavy boots, Same direction the suspect was seen fleeing. David stood instantly. "I'm coming with you." But the officer blocked him. "No, it's too dangerous. We need trained search teams." David's voice cracked. "He went after my son. He's not done. Melissa grabbed David's hand, eyes full of fear. What if he comes back? What if he tries again? David felt the weight of her words settle like cold metal in his gut. The detective stepped forward. "Mr. Keller will track him, but if your brother targeted your family, he may try to contact you directly." David froze because his phone, still mud-splattered from the riverbank, buzzed in his pocket. A new message. Unknown number. He opened it. A photo. His house. Taken from the street. Tonight. Lights still on. Front door slightly open. Then a text. "You left your family once. You won't get a second chance to fix it." David's stomach dropped. The detective leaned over his shoulder, eyes widening. "We need units at the Keller residence now." Officers scrambled, radios crackling, engines ignited. The search scene turned into a frenzy of movement. Melissa clutched Ethan tighter. "David, what does he want?" David swallowed hard. "Me," he said. "He's after me." The detective grabbed his arm. "We'll escort your family to safety. But you need to tell us." He looked toward the forest where officers began fanning out with flashlights. And maybe this is his revenge. Within minutes, patrol cars surrounded the Keller home. Lights swept across the yard. Officers cleared the front door, the rooms, the backyard. Then, "Clear!" Melissa exhaled. Ethan held her hand, but David felt something was still wrong. He knew his brother. Mark didn't do threats halfway. An officer approached with a frown. "Sir, the house is empty. No signs of forced entry. No sign of your brother." "Then why send the photo?" Melissa whispered. David's eyes drifted to the shadows, the trees, the quiet street. "He's close," David said softly. "He's watching us." A rustle sounded behind the fence. Everyone froze. The detective signaled the officers. Flashlights flicked toward the sound. But before they could move, David's phone buzzed again. Another text. "Don't let them hide you. We finish this tonight." Then a second message. "Meet me alone, or I won't stay alone." The detective clamped a hand on David's shoulder. "Don't respond. He wants to isolate you." David's voice cracked. "But if I don't go, he'll come for my family." The detective spoke firmly. "He's manipulating you." But David shook his head. "No, he's warning me." David looked toward the darkness beyond the streetlights, knowing exactly where Mark wanted him to go, because the location wasn't written. It didn't need to be. It was the place everything between them had fallen apart. The last place they'd seen each other. The place Mark had sworn he'd never forget. The old trailer park on the edge of Ridgewood. A place abandoned, except for ghosts. David turned to the detective. "I'm going." "You can't," the detective snapped. "If he's unstable, this could turn violent." David looked at Melissa, at Ethan's trembling hands, at the fear twisting her face. He has already made it violent. The detective clenched his jaw. "We'll go with you. Full team." But David shook his head. He said, "Come alone." "And you believe him?" the detective said. David nodded slowly. "I know my brother. If I don't go alone, he'll vanish, and he'll try again." The detective stared at him, then reluctantly stepped back. "Fine, but you'll be wired. And a mile out, we're surrounding the area." David agreed, not because he wanted to, but because Mark had forced his hand. He kissed Ethan on the forehead. "I'm coming back," he whispered. Then he turned toward the waiting patrol car, the wired vest, the dark road ahead. The detective leaned in. "Be careful. Men like your brother, they don't just want revenge." David swallowed. "I know. They want a confession." David's eyes narrowed. "And I'll give him one." He stepped into the night. And as the police caravan slowly rolled toward Ridgewood, a storm gathered overhead. thunder rumbling like a warning. Far away, in the shadows of the abandoned trailer park, a figure waited, watching, smiling, and the Keller brothers' unfinished war was about to begin.